Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'll be going over how to successfully pair up an Apple iPhone to the Apple Carplay system in a 2020 and newer Mercedes-Benz GLE. The car we'll be using today is a GLE 350, and let's go on in and get started. And as you can see, this Mercedes utilizes the kind of latest generation of Mercedes infotainment with the giant kind of iPad-like dash that's very well integrated. So it's basically two screens, and this one's primarily for your gauge cluster, and then this one's for the infotainment. Now with CarPlay on this model, Mercedes doesn't offer wireless CarPlay, unfortunately, on the GLE. That might be something that they offer in the future. I'm not sure if that's just software limited, if they have the hardware for it, so we'll find out as the model years go on. But so for as of right now, you need to use this USB on the left. So these are both USB-Cs, and Mercedes gives you an adapter to kind of use a normal USB that you would have from your iPhone kit. But you have to use the left one here. This one will not connect to CarPlay. This will just be media or charging. So you can kind of see it shows the display there. Now, let's go ahead and start it up so we can access how to actually set this system up. And like I said, not wireless. So I have my iPhone 10 right here, which is going to be the phone of choice. Got to plug that in. Now you'll see instantly once you do plug it in, you do have a little Apple CarPlay symbol up top here, and I'll show you exactly what buttons do what on the controller and how to actually go through and access the Apple CarPlay menu. So when you first go into the phone, you'll get the allow while locked, and you always want to click accept on that. Otherwise, it will not be very, very fun to use. You keep having to unlock your phone every time you want to access CarPlay. Now, there's three ways to access this screen in this Mercedes, and I think Mercedes is probably the best at implementing ways to actually go through and use CarPlay. They give you a lot of different ways, so you can actually choose your favorite, and that's very nice because some people might prefer the touch. So this is a touch screen. Then you also have down here the more traditional pad that Mercedes used to do as a circle. So this kind of works as like a magic trackpad, like on a computer. So you can actually swipe left and right on here, up and down, and click it down. And then finally now, on these newer Mercedes, you do have a little square here on the wheel. And this actually is primarily to control everything on this center screen. So as you can see, as I go through it with my thumb, it goes through all the different options. And this has the full ability of everything that pad down there can actually do, which is pretty awesome. Now, the pad on the left side of the wheel is actually how you go through and access things on this screen. And then I'll go over that in a second once we go through the main screen. So I'm going to switch back over here. Now, where CarPlay is usually located is actually going to be towards the right hand of the menu, where it shows Mercedes Me and apps. You can also cancel. You run into that issue a lot too on these newer Mercedes. You can also access CarPlay by going into phone, or you can go quickly to that little tab up top. And the screen is very nice, very high res, very clear and easy to read. So I'm going to go in there and click that down. Again, you can use the center pad, the touch, or the wheel, or the little square on the wheel. And the first time you set this up, you're going to get a little kind of acceptance you have to agree to about data transfer, so you go ahead and say accept on that, and then as soon as you do that, as long as your phone is plugged in, you will go straight to CarPlay. So a couple of things to note. I've noticed on this car compared to older Mercedes, they used to use the whole screen as real estate with CarPlay, versus now they kind of only give you a 4x2 and they cut it off a few inches short. Not really sure why that is. I'm not sure if you can actually put any type of information over there, but CarPlay is only accessing kind of I would say maybe 65-70% of the whole screen. So if I were to go back home, you can see that it's a very wide screen, and going back into CarPlay now kind of cuts it short. So I'm not sure if that's something they'll change in the future as well. This is with iOS 13, as you can see. So now some cool shortcuts to learn. So the back button here, either on the pad or the steering wheel, will actually bring you from the traditional app layout to iOS 13's kind of new home screen, where you can access Apple Maps, quick access to food and drinks if you have any calendar appointments, and then also you have a media player right here in the bottom corner. That's a pretty useful feature if you wanted to use this home screen a lot, if you are one to like that. So you have that right here. Now, like I previously said, 3 ways to go through the apps on the screen. You do have the full touchability, and it is a little bit of a far reach. If I'm all the way back in my seat, that wouldn't be my preferred way to use this system, but it is there. It's great probably for your passenger, and it's very fast and very responsive. The frame rate is slightly choppy. It's not, it doesn't look like it's 60 frames a second, but it's definitely nothing to complain about. It's very smooth. It's not bad. And the screen is still large. I just wish that they kept the whole width of the screen, and I hope that that's something they bring as time goes on with the software update. Now next is the little pad here on the steering wheel. So as I go through this, kind of just like the Mercedes system, you actually have full cancel. Oh my gosh, every time. You have the full ability of controlling the CarPlay from here. The only thing I noticed is compared to using the Mercedes apps, it's a little bit slower. So I end up having to kind of be patient with it and kind of use it slowly. Otherwise, if I do it too fast, it doesn't really respond. So that's one thing to note. But I have never seen another brand have full access to everything within CarPlay on the steering wheel. It used to just be the voice control button. And that button is right here. So if you do hold this down, it does bring up Siri. Hello?
Hello. What can I do for you?
Cancel.
There's nothing to cancel.
And that's pretty much that. Now, back to this square, this back button, like I previously said, will go from that home screen to your apps. But if you're within an app, so let's go over back to Google Maps, click it down, and you are in here and you didn't actually mean to go in there, you can click this back button here, and that will step you back one step. Home will bring you outside of CarPlay and back to the Mercedes home. And then from here, you have multiple ways of going back. So the easiest way is usually just finding that Apple CarPlay tab up top. In here, you also do have full control to your audio. So you do have a volume rocker right here, which will mute if you click it down. So I'll go ahead and play this real quick. CarPlay. So the volume rocker is right here. Now, bringing our attention to the center screen, unfortunately, the only thing that they allow you to access on that center screen is media information. There's no way to get Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps on this center screen. Again, that might be something where software eventually allows that. But so for right now, you have the ability to either lay out your media in the center here with a nice little album art. And if I were to click that down, you can see it allows me to choose different sources of audio. And then if I were to go back now, you can also rearrange that center screen here to access other things like the built-in nav. So you have your Mercedes built-in nav in the center here. And then, like I previously said, this left circle cluster you can change from your speedometer or anything else you have in there. All you got to do is scroll with that little thumb wheel to make sure that that one's highlighted, and then you kind of go up and down until you see the media setting. So right there. Now the only issue with this is this only lets you view what song you're currently listening to. You actually can't change the track. So if you wanted that ability, you have to actually go back, change this to something else, then make this center portion your media, Let me go back. And then finally, you can turn the right center or the right circle to your map. So if you wanted the ability to go through songs on your steering wheel and have the map still on the steering wheel or the gauge cluster, you have to do media in the center and your map on the right. And everything that I just did there is controlled by this little thumb wheel on the left. You have to just make sure that wherever you're changing is highlighted blue. Now, if we were to go into this center screen and start something with the GPS, I'm going to use the center pad, for example, to configure it this time. So I'm going to go down to the apps. I'll go into Google Maps. I'm going to say add destination, and then we'll do gas station. What's nice is, unlike other brands, you can have Google Maps directing you on the center screen through Apple Carplay, but they still allow you to have the built-in GPS in the cluster here. It's not going to be guiding you, but some other brands do actually blank that out or make it into a digital compass if you have a route engaged on the Apple Carplay system. And simply, you can just go back over and either add a stop or cancel using the thumb wheel on the steering wheel, or the trackpad or the touchscreen. Either of those way work with this. So overall, Mercedes, I think, does a really good job. Cancel. How many times is that going to happen in this video? And I just wish that they fix this where they make it more of the screen's real estate. And if they fix the responsiveness of the little kind of scroll wheel on the steering wheel, I think that Mercedes would have one of the best implementations of CarPlay currently available to date. And once they add wireless, I think that they'll be right up there. If you guys have any questions or any other comments about things that I might have missed, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and take care.